Welcome to the public meeting number 2 for Unidad Park Playground Rehabilitation and Splash Pad Addition. The purpose of this presentation is to let you know how this project is progressing and to solicit your input on the current plans for rehabilitating the park. My name is Mimi Burns. I'm a principal and landscape architect at Decker Parish Sabatini, a design firm with offices in Las Cruces, Albuquerque, Amarillo, and Phoenix. Since the beginning of the year, we've been working with the City of Las Cruces and our design partners at Bohannon Houston, Exerplay, RBM Engineering, and Bayless & Company to create a rehabilitation plan that is respectful of the original design and all of the community investment in the playground. We want to make the most out of the money made available for this project, and we need your input to help guide design decision-making. This presentation consists of 4 parts. In the introduction, we'll provide some background on the playground and project. Then we'll provide information about the previous public meeting for those of you who were not able to attend. After that, we'll present information on the current state of the rehabilitation plan and solicit your input on the design. At the end of the presentation, we'll fill you in on the next steps for the project. This is a virtual public meeting, which is unusual. The city has created this venue to both inform the community about the project and solicit community input. So please pause the video and add comments at any point during the presentation. Unidad Playground was built approximately 20 years ago as a community-built project with community funds. The designers integrated the extensive community input into the design, and community members and businesses contributed to the construction of the playground with volunteer labor and other donations. The result was a unique and memorable play environment that has provided joy to the community for the past 2 decades. As time passed, the high desert sun was hard on the amazing wood play structures and equipment at the park. Now, renovations for proper safety and rehabilitation to allow proper maintenance and accessibility are required. A bit over $1 million has been allocated for the park playground rehabilitation and splash pad. While that may sound like a lot, there is a lot to rehabilitate. The city and design team are working diligently to make the most of funding, with discrete safety and accessibility improvements and focusing most of the funding on safe, fun, and accessible replacement play equipment and the splash pad addition. So what is the goal of public meeting number 2? It's to solicit public input on proposed improvements in order to finalize the rehabilitation plan. The first public meeting for this project was held on Saturday, February 22nd. Due to rainy weather, the open house style presentation was set up at the Mearshite Recreation Center. Signage was set up at the playground to direct people to the meeting. City representatives, including staff and leadership from Parks and Recreation and the project design team, were on hand at the rec center and on the playground to listen, take notes, and talk about ideas. Presentation boards with images were set up around the room. The boards included images of the park components and an analysis of problem areas, precedent studies of similar community-built playgrounds and their renovations, and ideas on the extent of improvements that needed to happen as part of the project. Surveys were also available for people to fill out. As the weather improved, several design team members walked over to the playground to talk with families who were using the park and hand out surveys about the playground rehabilitation project. This is one of the image boards from the first public meeting. This board illustrates renovation precedents for other similarly worn-out community-built playgrounds located in Minnesota, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Participants in the public meeting talked with city staff and design team members about the very different approaches that were taken by each community. A lot of time was spent talking about the different kinds of replacement play equipment selected by each community. This is another image board from the meeting. This board illustrates preliminary thoughts on the extent of improvements for the project. Improvements were color-coded and labeled, and they included a purple zone where we had the location of the new splash pad, In blue, we indicated renovation or preservation areas, including the sundial, twin towers, shade structures, decorative wood fence, existing signage, and the parking area. And then in green, we indicated the replacement areas for all of the wooden play equipment. The public meeting provided an opportunity for participants to gain an understanding of the scope of the project and share their thoughts on the ideas being presented. In addition to staff and the design team taking notes on mounted pads of paper, community members could write out their own thoughts on Post-its and the paper pads. Community members also filled out surveys. Some community members filled them out at the park and the center, and some took them home and returned them to the city over the next few weeks. The city also solicited public input through their website, inviting community members to fill out the survey even if they did not attend the public meeting. In order to move forward with the design in a manner that integrated public comment, the design team compiled the comments and surveys to create a summary of public comment. While there were many opinions shared, we think that the summary captures the collective tone and repeated comment themes. Surprisingly, there was not a consensus on the splash pad addition. About half of the people who attended were excited to see this addition, and the other half were not. Of the people who did not want to have a splash pad, their reasons varied. They included a need to conserve water, concerns about attracting too many children or attracting transients, and concerns about safety. There was, however, a clear consensus about wanting the replacement play equipment to resemble the existing equipment in aesthetics and imaginative play value. Community members also understood the need to have equipment that would be more durable, easier to maintain, and more inclusive. The playground design has progressed, and now it's time to get more public input. We're going to break up the design presentation into 3 parts: preservation, removals, and rehabilitation improvements. This slide illustrates many of the park elements that will be preserved. These include wooded art and sculptural elements like the decorative fence, twin towers, and the wooden towers based on the historic St. Genevieve Church. These can remain because they are in salvageable condition and can be made separate from play equipment in use and distance. We're also planning on leaving the existing swings and renovating the sundial, shade structures, and the wooden pergola. This slide is a plan view identifying the park elements that will be preserved in green. In addition to the items noted on the previous slides to be preserved, we're also preserving the turf area, park signs, and almost all of the trees. This slide illustrates the park elements that will be removed. They're noted in blue. Items are being removed for several reasons: condition, safety concerns, and ADA compliance concerns. Items being removed include the wooden play equipment, wooden play area curbs and seat walls, wooden platforms, and wooden decks. The turf area and a stretch of the decorative wooden fence are being removed to make way for the new splash pad. We had thought the splash pad could go in the southeast corner of the park, but there were conflicts with existing utilities in that area, so this new location near the entrance was selected. Other removals will occur in the parking lot near the entrance to make way for new ADA compliant parking. This slide illustrates the park rehabilitation plan and splash pad addition. Let's walk through the list of proposed improvements. I'll use a laser pointer to point things out. Number 1 is the existing sundial. We will be repainting the pavement and making some drainage improvements at the base. Number 2 is the twin towers. We will be sanding and staining this with a semi-transparent penetrating stain and sealer. Number 3 is the church towers. After the play equipment is removed from around the base of the towers will be structurally supported. There will be some repairs made to the sides and roof, and it will be sanded and stained. Number 4 is the new play structure for 2 to 5-year-olds. Number 5 is the large new play structure for 5 to 12-year-olds. And number 6 indicates renovation of existing shade structures, and that renovation might include re-roofing. Number 7 is the renovation of the perimeter decorative wood fence. Renovation might just include replacement of broken boards, power washing, and staining. Number 8 illustrates a new accessible parking area. Number 9 illustrates new accessible pedestrian ramps and crosswalk markings. Number 10 is a new concrete sidewalk to provide a safe and direct pedestrian connection to the park entrance from the street. Number 11 is the new splash pad. Number 12 are new trees that we'll install to replace some that need to be removed. Number 13 is the pump cabinet for the splash pad. Number 14 is a new maintenance gate. Number 15 illustrates the renovation of the existing pergola or trellis. Number 16 indicates the new alignment of decorative wood fence. This is replacement fence because of the splash pad location. And then number 17, the last one, is a new overflow parking area and west entrance that will help increase the capacity and accessibility of the park. The splash pad has been located near the park entrance and the existing large shade structure and pergola. The splash pad will be installed as a flow-through system, but the infrastructure has been designed to allow future transition to a recirculating system. The current budget could not accommodate the additional costs and requirements of a recirculating system, which include increased restroom capacity, showers, and a new enclosure for the pump and chemical storage. These images illustrate preliminary ideas for water play features at the splash pad. The elevation at the bottom left illustrates how the features are designed for different ages, with a young children play area on the left and increasingly active and bigger features to the right. The egg-shaped plan was selected to minimize tree removals and maximize the number of play features. The wet area in the center is surrounded by a perimeter dry area, and the surface will be covered with colored concrete that is designed with a non-slip finish. A large new play structure is being proposed to replace the original interconnected series of wooden decks, walkways, bridges, and mazes. The number 5 indicates the location of the new play structure, which has been designed for ages 5 through 12. The design includes an accessible entrance along the existing sidewalk and ramped walkways and bridges extending for up to 80 feet in some directions. A central accessible deck with bench seating is included in the center to serve as a home base, Valhalla, or center of the universe for the kids, and provide a place for parents to sit and observe the action. These images illustrate the look and feel of the new structure. Note the accessible ramps, bridges, multiple access points, climbing features, decks, and slides. The diversity of play features and the resemblance to the original structure in aesthetics and connectivity are intended to help make this structure an appropriate, compelling, and more inclusive replacement for the original. This plan illustrates the rehabilitation plan for the north portion of the park, including new play equipment. Number 4 indicates the location of a new play structure for 2 to 5-year-olds. This structure takes the place of the old beehives, wooden boat, and adobe building. The play area will be accessible and covered in engineered wood chips. This is an elevation of the new 2 to 5-year-old play structure. The design, including the colors and pointed roof, have been selected to resemble the original wooden structures using more durable, maintainable, and code-compliant materials and features. So to recap, this is the current plan for the playground rehabilitation and splash pad addition. Please share your questions and comments on the design and the presentation with the city. You can do that by typing them in below. The next steps on the project include collecting and summarizing public comment on this design, integrating the public comment into the development of the construction documents, presenting the final design to the public and City Council this summer, and then putting the plans out to bid and getting the improvements constructed. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation, for caring about Unidad Park and participating in this process. We look forward to seeing your comments.